All right, today we're going to dive into the legacy of a real giant in personal development, Jim Rohn. Now, this guy, he wasn't just a speaker. He was more like a philosopher, a mentor. And you know what? Maybe the best way to describe him is as a great sower. He planted these seeds, these simple but seriously profound ideas that if you let them take root in your mind, could just totally blossom into a life of incredible success and, real fulfillment.
I mean, think about it. In this crazy world we live in, right? Full of distractions, notifications buzzing, just endless noise. It is so easy to feel a little lost. I think we're all searching for something, aren't we? Clarity, maybe some purpose, a real path to success. Well, Jim Rohn's wisdom, it just cuts right through all of that noise. He offers these timeless principles that are honestly more relevant today than they have ever been. So to really, truly grasp the power of his message, we've got to go back to the very beginning. And we're not talking about some polished boardroom or fancy lecture hall. Nope, we're going to a humble farm in Idaho, a place that really symbolized his almost barren start in life.
So picture this. Rohn was born into a farming family. He gave college a shot for a little while, but ended up dropping out. Before he knew it, he was working manual labor jobs and, in his own words, was just flat broke and totally frustrated. His life felt like an empty field, No seeds planted, no harvest in sight.
But then, something happened. A single seed was planted. It was a chance encounter that would completely change the entire landscape of his life. And that seed? It was a mentor.
And what's crazy is the speed of this transformation. I mean, look at this. He starts out as a struggling laborer, totally lost. Then you have this pivotal moment. He meets his mentor, a guy named Earl Shoaff, who plants this whole new philosophy in his mind. That one single seed, that was the catalyst. It took him from poverty to real prosperity in just a handful of years.
Yeah, let that sink in for a second. By the time he was 31 years old, he was a millionaire. And look, this wasn't some lottery win or a get-rich-quick scheme. No way. This was the direct result, the harvest, if you will, from completely changing his mindset and his daily habits. So after he achieved all this financial success, Rohn had this profound realization. He figured out that the real value wasn't actually in the money he'd made. It was in the person he had to become to make it. And that insight? Well, that's what turned him from just a successful businessman into a sower of ideas for everyone else. This quote right here, this is the bedrock of his entire philosophy. It's a total game changer, a complete shift in how you think about success. It's basically saying, stop chasing success like it's some object you have to catch. Instead, you've got to turn the focus inward on your character, your skills, your discipline. The whole idea is that as you become more valuable, success just naturally comes to you. And if you need proof, well, the proof is in the harvest, right? Over his 40-year career, the seeds he planted grew into absolute giants. Just look at this list. We're talking Tony Robbins, Darren Hardy, Brian Tracy. These are titans of the personal development world, and every single one of them points back to Jim Rohn as a fundamental mentor. His influence is just immense. Okay, so what were these powerful seeds of thought that he shared with everybody? Let's break down 4 of his most timeless, most impactful philosophies. And the best part? These are core principles you can start applying to your own life, like today. All right, we're going to walk through each one of these. First, mastering yourself. Then, the power of daily discipline. After that, the real value of self-education. And finally, the philosophy of giving. So let's kick it off with the foundation, mastering yourself. Man, this is so powerful. I mean, think about it. How often do we find ourselves complaining about our circumstances? Our job, the economy, whatever it is. Rohn's advice is simple. Just stop. The challenge isn't the problem. The real issue is how equipped we are to handle it. So instead of wishing for an easier life, you gotta wish you were better. Focus on developing more skill, more wisdom, more strength. Okay, so we all have goals, right? But here's the thing. A goal without discipline, it's just a wish. It's a daydream. Rohn taught that real discipline is built on those small, tiny, little things you do every day, reading just 10 pages, making that one extra phone call. They seem insignificant, but they're not. They're like the bricks you use to build that bridge from where you are now to where you really want to be. It's the consistency that creates the magic. This one's a biggie. Sure, your formal education will help you make a living, it'll get you in the door, but it's your self-education that's going to make you a fortune.
Rohn was a massive advocate for constantly learning, reading books, listening to audio programs, going to seminars. In a world that's changing this fast, the people who keep learning are the ones who are going to end up leading.
And this final philosophy, wow, it just flips the whole script. It shifts your focus away from what can I get to what can I give? The core idea here is that true success, we're talking financial and personal, it comes from adding value to other people's lives. It's a pretty simple equation when you think about it. The more value you provide to the world, the more value you get back. Okay, so let's bring this all back home, back to you. Because Jim Rohn's story is absolutely incredible, but his ultimate goal wasn't for you to just sit back and admire his life. No, it was for you to get up and build your own.
Yeah, we're coming back to this quote because honestly, it's the engine that drives everything else we've talked about. Just think about it for a second. The daily discipline, the self-education, the focus on serving others, these aren't just random tactics. They are all pieces of the exact same puzzle, the process of becoming the kind of person who just naturally attracts the life you really want.
And you know what? Jim Rohn himself is the ultimate proof that this works. He started out on a farm with empty pockets and ended up as a mentor to millions. It just goes to show you, your starting point does not define your destiny. The choices you make, starting right now, that's what truly matters.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question. After hearing his story, his philosophies, what's one small seed that you are going to plant today? Maybe you'll read 10 pages of a book. Maybe you'll start a new small discipline. Or maybe you'll just find a way to help someone else. Whatever it is, just remember, the harvest of your entire future begins with the single seed you decide to sow right now.